Hello Pre-Calc 20 students. Today we are doing 3.3, completing the square. So there are two links up here also if you need a little extra assistance with this. To complete the square, what we're really doing is we're taking a quadratic in standard form and changing it into a vertex graphing form so that we can graph it using our vertex graphing methods. And what we're actually doing is we're taking a term that is not a perfect square and we're turning it into a perfect square by just kind of changing things around. And remember that you can always add in a little piece as long as you add it to both sides. So that's what we're going to do. The steps here are as shown, and we will go through them. Pause it here if you need to. Example 1. We're going to rewrite into vertex graphing form by completing the square. So our first step is to divide by the a coefficient. But here, there is nothing in front of the coefficient, or in front of the x squared. There is no coefficient. So step 1 does not apply. Step 2 is put in a plus blank and a minus blank. So what this does is it just kind of sets up our equation for us to follow. So step 2, we're going to go x squared plus 6x plus blank plus 5 minus blank. Now the reason we have to do a plus and a minus is because we need to keep this equation balanced. It needs to stay the same. So by adding and subtracting the same number, we will let that happen. So then continued on with step 2, we need to see what goes in the blanks. So we square half the coefficient of the x term to go in those blanks. So the coefficient of the x term is 6. So if we take 6 and divide it by 2, we get 3. And if we square 3, we get 9. So 9 is what's going to go in both of our blanks. Step 3 then, we're going to group the perfect trinomial square. So we're going to put brackets around just the square part. Now x squared plus 6x plus 9 can be simplified into x plus 3 squared. And the plus 5 minus 9 can change to minus 4. So therefore, our f of x is the same as x plus 3 squared minus 4, which is in vertex graphing form. So let's try b then. First step is to, again, remove that coefficient. So if we remove that coefficient, we're going to get 3x squared minus 4x minus 3. And then our next step is to put in our blanks. So we'll go 3x squared minus 4x plus blank minus 3 minus blank. Oops, that should be a blank, not an x. Then we take half of our middle term and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, squared equals 4. So 4 is what's going to go into our blanks. Next, we group just the trinomial square. So this will become x minus 2 squared. The minus 3 minus 4 becomes a minus 7. But to make this perfect into vertex graphing form, we actually need to put the 3 back in. So here our final answer will be 3x minus 2 squared minus 21, because the 3 needs to multiply to go to the front of the first term and multiply with the negative 7 at the end. So this would be your final answer in vertex graphing form. And here's one last example for you today. We again have a coefficient out in front, but you'll notice with this one that it's a plus 0 at the end. So this could have been written just as negative 5x squared minus 70x, but we're going to put that plus 0 in just to keep things consistent. So we'll start by getting rid of a negative 5, and we're left with x squared plus 14x plus 0. Then we're going to put in our blanks. So minus 5, x squared plus 14x plus blank plus 0 minus blank. Now to figure out what goes in the blanks, again, we take our middle term, or the x coefficient, divide it by 2, and square it. So 49 is what will go in both of our blanks. Then we're going to go and we're going to group just the perfect square. So we get minus 5 x plus 7 squared minus 49. But again, this minus 5 is on the outside of the whole set of brackets. So then we'll put the minus 5 in, and we'll get minus 5 x plus 7 squared plus 245. Now, if you are asked to verify, you can always go the opposite way and expand this. And just start simplifying. So you could FOIL and then simplify. And if you get back to where you started originally, you know that your answer was correct.